Everyone says a wedding night is supposed to be magical, filled with whispered promises, shy smiles, and a love that feels bigger than the world. I believe that. I had dreamed about it for years, imagining the warmth of his hand in mine, the quiet intimacy of two hearts finally coming together. But the night I became a wife, the story I had imagined fell apart before it even began. I sat on the edge of the bed in my simple white dress, hands trembling, heart racing, not with fear, but with hope. The room smelled of flowers and fresh sheets, and the soft yellow light should have felt comforting, but it didn't. It felt like it was exposing my confusion, my doubt, and my anticipation for something that might never come. When he finally entered, I froze. My husband, the man I had promised my life to just hours earlier, looked distant, tired maybe, but distant in a way that made me feel like a stranger. He didn't smile. His eyes passed over me without warmth, without curiosity, without love. "Are you okay?" I asked softly, and he nodded, saying nothing more. He moved past me, hung his jacket, and sat at the other side of the bed as if a wall had appeared between us. I tried to fill the silence, forcing a small laugh, talking about the long day we'd had, but he only replied with a single word, "Yes." That was it. Flat. Empty. And suddenly, the room didn't feel like a bedroom at all. It felt like a courtroom. I was on trial for crimes I hadn't committed. Minutes passed, hours felt like minutes, and I could hear nothing but my own uneven breathing. My hands twisted the fabric of my dress, doubt creeping into every corner of my mind. Finally, he stood up and said he'd sleep in the other room. "What?" I whispered, my throat tight. "I need space," he said simply. "Just tonight," he added. And with that, the door clicked softly behind him, leaving me alone with my shattered expectations. My wedding night, the night I had imagined for so long, ended before it had begun. Morning came slow and pale. I hadn't slept. When he finally walked into the room, he looked calm, too calm, as if nothing unusual had happened. "Good morning," he said, and my voice barely held steady as I answered. Then he dropped the words that would haunt me forever. "We need to talk. I don't think this marriage can work. I made a mistake. I want a divorce." Divorce. Just like that. After one night, after one look, my knees buckled. My chest ached, and my heart felt like it had been torn from my chest. "Why?" I asked through tears. "You deserve someone different," he said quietly. "Nothing else? No explanation? No apology? Just the cold distance of a man who had already decided to leave." I realized something crushing in that moment. I had already lost him, and I didn't even understand why. His eyes were tired, haunted, full of a burden I couldn't yet name. "I can't be what you want," he said, almost whispering. And I saw it then, the fight inside him, the ghosts he carried into our marriage. He wasn't afraid of me. He was afraid of himself. "Please," I said softly, "look at me. I'm your wife. I care about you," he admitted, almost broken. "I don't deserve a pure woman." The words struck me like ice. My heart ached, but I didn't retreat. "My purity isn't a burden," I whispered. "It's not something you need to fear." He shook his head, bitter, frustrated, ashamed. "It's not what you are, it's what I am. I'm afraid I'll hurt you." In that moment I understood. This wasn't about me. This was about him, his past, his mistakes, his shame, and his fear. And we stayed like that for a long while, two wounded people, circling each other, unsure, afraid, but unwilling to step completely away. He confessed things he had buried, relationships that ended with pain, with regret, with guilt. "You're nothing like them," he said, almost as if trying to convince himself. And I told him, gently, that it didn't matter. "It matters to me," he snapped, voice breaking, "because I can't undo what I've done. And I won't drag you into a life with a man who despises himself." I stepped closer, and for the first time, he didn't step back. "You're afraid you'll hurt me," I whispered. He nodded. "Yes," he said quietly, "but you already are." "Not because of your past," I replied softly, "but because you think your past makes you unworthy of love." And in that moment I realized something. He wasn't leaving because he didn't want me. He was leaving because he feared how deeply he could want me, how much he could care, how much he could fall. That night he stayed, but differently. Not facing away from me, not completely distant. He lay facing me, still guarded but present. And for the first time, it felt like a beginning. Not a fairy tale beginning, not a perfect one, but a real one. It's a fragile, painful, hopeful beginning. The next morning, rain tapped softly against the window. I woke to find him awake, watching me. Calm, clear, honest. "I didn't want to sleep anymore," he said. I asked why, and he admitted, "I've spent my life running from responsibility, from love, from people who tried to care about me." And in that moment, I understood. This marriage wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about a magical night or flawless love. It was about two wounded people, learning to meet each other halfway, learning to trust again, learning to hope, despite the fear.